Have you been feeling wired but tired, headachy? Have you been having brain fog? Have you been having mood swings? Are your emotions a little bit louder than they usually are? You are not alone. The space weather is active yet again, and the astrology is flipping the emotional frequency as well. I'm Sarah Starr, your galactic guide, here with your space weather update for February the 6th and the 7th. Here's what's happening. We still have a major sunspot region, 4366. This region is still holding a chance of a 35% of having an X-class flare come from this region, which is the largest class of solar flare that we have. Now, the flare probability is still on the table despite it heading off of the western limb of the sun, and it is still Earth facing right now. The first flare probabilities came around January the 30th, and they have persisted. Thus far, we have had 107 solar flares from this just one region, and we still have time with it left on our sun before it does go off of the western limb. And it is still stable in its size despite the number of sunspots that have dissipated because of it continuously flaring off. Now, it's still in beta, delta, and gamma configuration, very magnetically complex. And if we're looking at our proton percentage, it's still at a 20% chance. So yes, Earth-facing region, proton level 20% chance, meaning that if it does eject any plasma out, protons will follow after the photons, the electrons, and then we will slip into a solar radiation storm. Now, if you see below me, we're already still getting major C-class flares. These are very low probable flares, but they're still popping off consistently all day. M-class flares as well, but they're lower M-class flares. This region has popped off major X-class flares. Yesterday and today we went into minor geomagnetic storms because of this grazing blow from this X8. And we also have this filament eruption that is going to hit us lightly on February the 8th as well. We have those slow moving CMEs, not much velocity, a tiny bit of density, but really very minor. Like I said, today we're going to get into KP4 and KP5 levels. That's just a minor geomagnetic storm. Tomorrow we're going to have a little bit of a dip down, not too much. And then on the 5th, we're going to bounce right back into those KP5 levels. So we're gonna bounce probably between like 550 to 600 kilometers per second, which is exactly what we saw whenever we got the CME shock arrival yesterday. So right now we are at 580 kilometer per second speed winds, very, very low. And then our density kind of dropped off. But yet again, these CMEs, this was mostly just density, really not much velocity. This is the velocity. Like I said, we get hit with that CME shock arrival, but there's really not too much there. We're more hit with the density, but also low density as well. So it's not the largest geomagnetic storm we've ever had. Very, very minor grazing blow. Yet again, we'll see another glancing effect on the 8th. But wait, there's more. We now have a coronal hole that is forming on the northern top of the hemisphere of the sun. And what this is producing is higher solar wind speed. So we could go into KP5. That's what I'm saying, KP5 levels, and then a little bit beyond perhaps. But solar wind conditions will be a little bit more enhanced. Now, this is not directly Earth facing. Like I said, it's on the top half of the northern hemisphere of the sun, so it's not directly polar tethered to the Earth, but we do have another tiny coronal hole that is facing Earth, although it is not as much depth as the one right here on top. And this is that active region 4366, so if it does blow off, you can expect this to go directly towards our section, and then the coronal hole to streams right here to directly connect to Earth and then produce a larger geomagnetic storm. Nothing apocalyptic, just larger. That's if it pops off. And yes, our sun is peppered with sunspots, but all of these sunspots have like nothing going on, like 5% chance of having an M-class flare, 10% chance, 1% chance of having an X-class flare. There's really no development there. We're looking at this one and this one only. And if we could, we would look at this region as well, because we do have a far-sighted CME eruption, no Earth-directed components at all, but something to look out for as they rotate onto the eastern side of the limb and we get a glimpse of what they look like. Maybe they died down, maybe they're still developing, but later we did have a CME. So on the far side, there is activity. This is our Lasco C2. As you can see, there is a nice halo formation here. Yet again, no Earth-directed components, but this is our far side. This is the western limb, this is the eastern limb, and then this is the far side. So it came from one of these numbered regions. Just something to look out for. As this region continues heading off of the western limb of the sun, you will see it decay. Like I said, it looks like it's going to spread apart, but it's still very, very active. Now let's layer in the astrology, because this is what the collective and you individually are going to witness. Today, the sun is in Aquarius, and we have a Libra moon, meaning that people in the collective, they are craving some sort of balance right now. They are craving some sort of fairness, and the nervous system is still sensitive. But that's not all, because we have Mercury. It moved into Pisces today. This is nice. This is going to make the mental field a little bit more intuitive, so you will be able to pick things up a lot quicker. But it's also going to have a dreamy feeling and more porous, and that's amazing for creativity and downloads and spiritual insight. But it can also blur those lines, okay? So dreamy, amplified emotions. It makes people feel like they're picking up on everybody else's everything. But watch out, because the moon is going to shift into Scorpio tomorrow, and this is when feelings are going to get a little bit deeper and a little bit sharper, meaning people are going to be more reactive, more intuitive, more suspicious, and more emotionally honest. And then the vibe is really going to shift. So people are going to say, hey, let's be diplomatic. And then they're going to say, no, we want the fucking truth. So sit back, watch what the collective is going to do with that type of energy, and then it's just watch. So here's the thing. Humans are bioelectrical. Your heart is electrical. Your brain runs on electrical rhythms, brain waves. And when Earth's electromagnetic environment gets a little bit more noisy, your nervous system is going to act up. In terms of sleep disruption, headaches, heart racing, anxiety spikes, brain fog, emotional purging, the list goes on, body buzzing, fatigue. So if you are a sensitive person to energies, or you are empathic, your nervous system is going to pick up on these type of energies. And this is a common sensitivity pattern that people feel when we have geomagnetic turbulence. So if you do feel overwhelmed, this is how you can get rid of the excess energy coming out. You want to discharge it from your body, meaning you want to walk, you want to stretch, you want to shake it out. You also want to hydrate with minerals, Celtic sea salt, any type of minerals, electrolytes. It helps a lot. You're going to want to downshift your brain. So any type of humming, any type of slow breathing, breath work, meditation, anything that tells your vagus nerve that it's safe. And then protect your sleep, okay? You want darker rooms, you want earlier wind down time, and you want less caffeine and less doom scrolling. They are counting on you scrolling. If you want some emotional alchemy for tomorrow's Scorpio new moon, what you really want to do is journal. Scorpio wants you to journal things out. So name a trigger, choose a boundary, do not spiral. If you're feeling it more than usual, know that you're not crazy. You are just sensitive, and the environment around you is active. But know that you can work with it instead of being swallowed up by it. If you want a personalized read on how this energy hits your chart or your chart in general, my name is Sarah Star. I do natal chart readings. I also do starseed origin readings, and I tap into the Akashic record. If you found my page, there is a reason. Head over to my website at sarahstarofficial.com or the link in my bio. I'm Sarah Star, your galactic guide, here with your space weather update for February the 6th and the 7th. Follow for more.